Hey guys, hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing? I'm just gonna wait, just wait a few more minutes before we get started. I have my notes here, so I'm gonna be looking at my phone. Just have a few notes, and I'm excited about this live, guys. I'm excited, and just want to, dive right in a few minutes and just really share what I've learned so far as it relates to self publishing and just some tips that can help you as you go on and continue on your journey. So I'm excited. Let me see. And let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Let me see. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. I'm like super excited to be in this with you guys. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And if this is your first time on my live video or any of my live videos, like let me know. I'd love to just say hello. I'd love to chat with you and connect with you. But yes, 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 I'm excited. Let me see. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce myself. Gonna go ahead and introduce myself. If you're new here, if you for those who don't know me, well, for those who already know me, and you've been tuning in and watching my videos, thank you so much for coming back. But for those who don't know me, if you're new here, my name is Priscilla Savage. I'm an indie author and entrepreneur, and right now I have published 5 books on Amazon currently, and I'm working on my 6th and 7th books that I hopefully want to publish this year. But I'm excited, and I have been writing for a long time, for more than a decade. But as far as publishing goes, and I got serious with publishing, like really serious with publishing. And a few years ago, I think it was 2023, when I first published my first book on Amazon. But then I had to rewrite it, and I redid it, and so I had to do a new edition, and I published that the following year, which was last year, 2024. And since then, I have published 5 books. I'm a romance author, specifically forbidden romance slash paranormal romance author. And yeah, and I just, I love self-publishing, and I just want to share, a few things with you guys, share some tips and give you some pros and cons of self-publishing versus traditional publishing, right? I don't think I don't think it's like, it's a bad thing to like to publish traditionally. I don't think it's like a good or a bad thing, or self-publishing is better than traditional publishing, or traditional publishing is better than self-publishing. I don't believe that's the case, but I think they both can be good depending on your situation. So at the end of this live, hopefully, you will have a clear um um path for yourself, for where you want to go, whether you want to go with traditional publishing or you want to go with self-publishing or indie publishing. But hopefully at the end of this live, you be able to get to a place where you are, you're confident in your decision, no matter what your decision is. But obviously I cater more towards self-publishing, because that's what I have experience with. That's what I've been doing, and I'm just excited to share that with you guys. Excuse me. But let me see. Let me just make this full, and then we'll probably go that. So, well, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Hopefully, you guys can still see me. I kind of changed the settings. Let's see. Hopefully, you guys can see me. or not. Okay, looks like you guys cannot. Let me go back. I think you guys can see me now. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, just want to make sure. Yes. So let me look at my notes. As far as self-publishing and traditional publishing goes, some of the pros and cons that I have learned. I'll start with the pros. And guys, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the in the live chat, or if you're watching the replay of this, feel free to leave your questions in the comment section below so I can answer your questions. Or if I cannot answer your questions right here on this live, or if by the time you're watching this video, I'll be able to make a another video where I can address your questions properly and hopefully answer your questions. So feel free to leave your questions down below. And also, if if you're curious about my books, if you want to check out any of my books, the links are gonna be in the description box below. So feel free to go there and click the link, check my books, let me know what you think. I'd love to know what you think. So let's just get started. Excuse me. So as far as self-publishing goes, some of the pros that I've learned, and if you guys, especially if you've been publishing for a while, or if you know something, some information, you've been doing your research, and if you know any have any more information as far as the pros and cons, or anything that I missed here in this live, or I just don't talk about, feel free to leave your comments in the comment section below. I'm pretty sure that there are other people, other authors or writers, upcoming authors who would want to learn from you. So feel free to leave your comments down below. Anything that I missed or anything you want to add, feel free to do that. I'd love to check it out. So some of the pros as far as self-publishing goes, I absolutely love self-publishing, and I've learned a lot from self-publishing, and that brings me to my first point. As far as some of the pros for self-publishing is you learn a lot of skills. You learn a lot of skills if you're self-publishing. And I'm not just talking about like writing and correcting yourself with writing and hopefully getting better with each book. I'm talking about like skills like editing, right? Even if sometimes, yes, they do advise that you have somebody else edit your work because you're so close to your work, you can you know miss some things that another person might be able to see, right? So make sure that you actually learn other skills from self-publishing. You learn skills like editing, you learn skills like marketing, because you're learning to market your own book, you're learning to put yourself out there, you're getting more confident. So there's a lot of skills that you can acquire, even design skills, right? Even if you've never designed a book cover in your life. I remember when I first got started with self-publishing, like my first book that I published in 2023, I made the book cover myself. I'm talking about the ebook cover, the paperback, hardcover. I made it myself. But then later on, as I learned and I realized where I wanted to put my energy on, which was more so in writing and marketing, because I enjoy the marketing process as well. But as far as the book cover, I realized that someone else has a better skill, right, than me. So I went on Fiverr, looked for some good, recommendable Fiverr gigs, and paid someone to do that for me. And as soon as I did that, I upgraded my covers and saw some good results from my books and from readers, really appreciating that. So, with self-publishing, you get to learn your strength and your weaknesses, and you get to learn more skills. There's some skills that you will learn and they're going to stay with you, and you can use those skills and apply them to other areas of your life, other job, that you're trying to do. But there's skills that, maybe when you attempt to do them and you realize that, you're not, it's not really working out, you can always outsource and, pay somebody, even on a low budget. And we can get to that later on, to help you do that. So you learn skills, you learn new skills with self-publishing, not just writing. You learn a lot of skills. Another pro for self-publishing is, of course, you're independent. You have total control of pretty much over everything. You have total control of, what kind of book cover you want to choose. You have total control of, what genre you want to write in. If you want to switch genres, if you want to, write romance, a romance, novel, for this year, and then the following year you want to kind of dabble into something else, you have that freedom to do that. You have that independence to do that, and you have total control to shift, to just shift gears and whatnot. So with self-publishing, you have total control, right, over your work, right? You have total control over your work, and that is something that I really appreciate about self-publishing, is that total control, where I don't have to really, do what someone else, like, maybe your agent or the publisher, what they're expecting from you, but you want to do and you want to publish what you want to publish. So you have more, I'm not saying traditional publishing does not have that, but I believe that with self-publishing, you have more control over what you publish, over your book and your book releases and whatnot. And the third pro that I want to mention here is the obvious one. Well, maybe not so obvious, because a lot of things, and we can kind of argue this, right? Is you keep most of the profit, right? Your royalties. Obviously, if you're publishing with Amazon KDP, obviously Amazon KDP is going to take their share, from your royalties, right? But aside from that, aside from printing costs and whatnot, you keep most of the profits, right? You keep most of the profits, and a lot of things can go into this. And I know this can get complicated when you start to talk about Audible trying to make audiobooks, and it depends on the royalty kind of royalty share that you choose. So, we can go into all that, but in general, you keep a lot of the profits, right? Another pro is the flexibility. The flexibility of self-publishing. I think I already mentioned that when I talked about the independence, where you publish whatever you want. I already talked about that, so I'm not going to go into that. Another thing that I've realized that I've learned, and not just me personally, but when I've done my research, and also I've heard other authors say this, is the longer shelf life of your book, right? And what I mean by that is just how long your book can stay in the market, even if it's not selling and whatnot, but it's still like, every now and then you get sales, right? Not saying that with traditional publishing you don't get that, but one thing I've realized about traditional publishing is, if you, like, say you publish a book, right, with traditional publishing, and that book tanks, right, it doesn't really do well and whatnot, you might be forced to just pivot, right? You might be forced to go in a different direction, and that book is pretty much dead and whatnot. Now, can you revive it? Probably, maybe the marketing team, whatever team you're working with, maybe you can. But I know that it's easier with self-publishing. It's very easier because you, as the indie author, you as the independent self-published author, you can decide to pull your book. You can decide to just change pen names. You can decide to just, you still have that flexibility. And also, like, a book can be doing well. A book can not do well, in the year that it's released. But it is possible for that same book that, does not do well in the same year that you release that book. It is very possible for that book to pick up, pace and start doing well 3, 4, 5 years from the time that you published it. And I've heard other authors do that. I've experienced it myself. I published a book that I published last year. It really, like, so did much. I know it's just been a year, right? But then this year that book started to pick up. It started to do even better than the book that was doing well last year, right? So you kind of have that shelf life with that. A lot of obviously, a lot of times it can also have, has to do with marketing, right? You marketing, and maybe a video goes viral and whatnot. So a lot of things also play into it. But in general, I believe that with self-publishing, your books have longer shelf lives. Um, Now that's all I have as far as the pros for self-publishing. If you have any other thing to add to this, feel free to leave them down below in the comment section. I'd love to see them. Oh, now let's shift gears now and go into traditional publishing, right? The pros for traditional publishing. I know I said in the beginning of this live that I'm not for one or the other. I do, yes, I enjoy self-publishing. I like that, but I'm not saying that traditional publishing is bad. If you want to go with traditional publishing, that's great. Feel free to do that. It's your book. It's, whatever you want to do. I'm just giving out information, just helping you see, certain things, and so you can make that decision yourself. Now, with traditional publishing, some of the pros are, as far as my notes is, and some of the research that I've done. The first is, you can't. I'm trying to look for the word for this. It is possible for you to be given an advanced payment for your book. Um, and I also know this because I almost got traditionally published, not for writing fiction or romance, but for writing nonfiction. Something happened. I just sort of, like, kind of wanted to kind of give myself more time, so I didn't really accept the deal. But I know that with traditional publishing, you can be given an advanced payment even before your book starts selling, right? You can be given that before your book starts selling. And of course, when your book starts selling, which goes into my second point, as far as like the pro is, a lot of the work is done for you. Now I know that, and I've heard that with traditional publishing, you also want to do some marketing too. You also want to do some marketing and whatnot, but a lot of times everything is done for you. Everything is like picked out for you. You're editing the book cover. I mean, you might have a say or two of the in the book cover, but a lot of times the work is being done for you. You don't really, the only thing you should really be concerned about is, or your agent, the publisher is concerned about, is you producing quality work, is the writing, and they want you to just focus on the writing, and every other thing will be done for you. So in a way, that saves you time. In a way, it's kind of, it gives you a lot of time to just like write and just focus on writing. So that can be a pro for traditional publishing. Whereas with self-publishing, you're also like, thinking about marketing later on, thinking about, who to pay to do your book cover. You're thinking about what strategy to take for your book release. So a lot of the things fall on you for self-publishing. So with traditional publishing, you kind of like have that time to just focus on just writing. With self-publishing, you can just focus on writing. Again, it's on you, it's your book, it's your business, right? You can discipline yourself to not worry about the other things that, you know that publishing a book entails, and you can just focus on writing for the main time. And when you're done, you can start thinking about editing, start thinking about beta readers and critique partners and whatnot, right? You can still focus on writing, but traditional publishing makes it very easy for you to do that, because you don't even have to think about the rest of the part of the process, because they have a team of people who will do that for you. The marketing and everything is like done for you. They're pretty much holding your hand in the process of publishing for traditional publishing, and you focus on your writing. So that can be an attraction for a lot of people. They want to just focus on writing and not have to deal with any other parts of the publishing process. And so if that's you, excuse me, of course, feel free to do that. Now, I don't have any more notes as far as pro for traditional publishing, but let me go to the cons now. So the cons for self-publishing is it can be time consuming, right? It can be time consuming, and of course, that makes sense, because everything falls on you. The writing, the editing, of course, unless you outsource somebody else, to do that for you. The book cover, everything, the marketing, everything falls on you unless you outsource. Of course, when you outsource, you have to pay money, right? Oh, another thing that I didn't mention for self-publishing is, which also, well, I guess it can be a pro for traditional publishing, is the low cost, because you're not really paying anything upfront. Even with traditional publishing, you're not really paying anything upfront. With self-publishing, you don't have to pay anything upfront if you want to handle all the, like I said, when I first started, I made my own book covers, right? And two of my books actually, if you guys, if you can tell, two of my books on Amazon, I designed the book covers myself. I'm not gonna tell you that. I'll let you go figure that out. But yeah, that's with self-publishing. But let me stay focused. But one of the cons for self-publishing is it can be time consuming, because you're not just focusing on writing. You have to do this and that and find beta readers and ARC readers if you want to do that. But it's a lot of things that can take your time. So you really have to train yourself and be disciplined enough to really, really, really focus on writing, and just kind of leave the other things for later. But it can be time consuming for self-publishing. Another thing is all of the mistakes, everything. If something goes wrong for self-publishing, it falls on you. So you take the blame, right? You don't have anybody to blame unless you, like I said earlier, unless you're outsourcing your book covers. You can always go to the cover artists and blame them for the book covers and whatnot, but you can't really blame them if you're not getting sales, because you also have to market, right? You have to market your books. But if anything goes wrong, you're the first person, you're gonna have to look at yourself first with self-publishing. You have nobody else to blame. Another thing with self-publishing is, see, another thing with self-publishing, my notes, let me see. Another thing with self-publishing is, another con is the stigma attached to self-publishing. There's a stigma attached to self-publishing, and it sucks, right? And by that, I mean, a lot of times, we've heard, people have this thing about self-publishing. They don't really respect self-published authors, and they think that they produce low quality work. And I understand the reason for that, because, of course, I've seen some really good self-published books, but I've also seen some, bad quality self-published books with the, errors in the editing, and not proofread, or grammatical errors and things like that. And that can really be a turn off for a lot of readers. And so it kind of just gives this stigma to self-publishing. And and it's not, it's just not, it's nobody wants that. So that can be a con. One of the cons for self-publishing is that. um Now, of course, going to traditional publishing, the cons for traditional publishing is, one of the cons is you really don't have a lot of control. And I think I mentioned this earlier, right? You really don't have a lot of control. If something doesn't work out, you might be advised by your team to just pivot and try something else. And they have a say on the book cover. You have a say for sure, but it's like they have a team of people that are getting paid to do these things and to work in this and to work in that. So you don't have a lot of control with traditional publishing. If you're somebody who wants to be able to have control over your work and have a say, then traditional publishing may not really be the route for you. You may have to be considering, the route of self-publishing. So just want to mention that you don't really have a lot of control with traditional publishing. Another thing with traditional publishing is the shorter shelf life, right? So if a book is published, say this year, and it doesn't really do well, it's kind of like you might be advised. I already mentioned this, earlier. You might be advised to, pivot and go into something else, right? Because it doesn't look like this book is selling, so maybe try this, right? But with self-publishing, you can revive a book that is not selling. You can do, some marketing. You can a video might go viral on social media, and that book that wasn't selling last year might start to pick up some pace and pick up, start selling this year, right? So you have a shorter shelf life with traditional publishing, but with self-publishing, you have a longer shelf life. That book is still readable, and that book can come back to life, right? So that's the thing with that. Another con for traditional publishing is no flexibility, right? No flexibility. I think this kind of goes with the, you don't have any control. You don't have much control. So, you can't really switch genre. So if you're somebody who is still like testing the waters, and, you're still like, okay, you're not sure if you want to write romance novels, you're not sure if you want to write, horror, or, I don't know, fantasy books, and you just kind of want to test the waters a little bit. With traditional publishing, you don't really have that much control and flexibility, right? Most likely, you'd be advised to stick to one genre and just publish within that genre. But with self-publishing, if you try romance and you're not really feeling it, or it's just not working out for you, but or maybe you just have, a lot of interest. You like romance, you like fantasy, paranormal, horror, thrillers, and whatnot. With self-publishing, you have that flexibility to just like pivot and change and use different pen names, and things and that, and just really have that flexibility to move and to try different things. But with traditional publishing, it's it's not likely that you're gonna have that flexibility, right? More than likely, you'd be advised to just stick to one genre and just publish, and and it is controlled every step of the way. So that's the thing with traditional publishing. Another con for traditional publishing is, and I could be wrong, I could be, corrected with this. Like I said earlier when I started this live, a lot of things go into it, right? But with traditional publishing, you don't get to keep all the profits, right? Because guess what? You have a team of people that are helping you with editing, helping you with the marketing, helping you with, I mean, you're still gonna do some marketing on your own, right? Even as a traditionally published author, but you have a lot of people doing the work for you. So they have to get paid, right? You as the author, you're gonna get some, royalties and whatnot, but other people on your team, they're gonna have to get paid. So you don't keep all of the profit, you don't keep a lot of the profits, right? But with self-publishing, you keep a lot of the profits. Yes, if you publish it on Amazon KDP, Amazon KDP takes their share, right? You have printing costs and whatnot, but you keep a lot of the profit. I think it's like you can choose between a 30%, 70%, or and whatnot. With KDP, Amazon KDP, I could be wrong with that. Feel free to correct me. But with traditional publishing, you don't get to keep a lot of the profits, because you have other people on your team, they're helping you, and they have to get paid for the work that you're doing. So why self-publish, right? I mean, I've mentioned the pros and the cons of self-publishing versus traditional publishing, and I'm pretty sure I missed a few things. So feel free to add those below. excuse me, in the comment section below, in the live chat, if you want to add anything else what I've said. I'm pretty sure I probably missed something, so feel free to add anything you want to add to what I've said, in the comment section below. But why do you want to self-publish? Like I said earlier, I enjoy self-publishing. I enjoy the process, not just the writing process and the flexibility and having control over what I do, but I also like the marketing process. I'm having a lot of fun marketing, even though right now TikTok, I don't understand what's up with TikTok, to be honest. um but I'm, having a lot of fun with self-publishing. I just love having that control, and I just love being flexible with my writing and just trying different genres, but not just different genres, but like just different tropes within one genre, right? And by tropes, of course, I mean like, and enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, best friends to lovers, and all that good stuff, right? I just love just dabbling into different tropes, and you can have that a lot with self-publishing. I think with traditional publishing you can also have that as well, but the thing that you don't get the flexibility on is most likely the genre. Like if you're a romance author, you want to be known as a romance author, or if you're a horror author, you want to be known as that, right? So why self-publish? All the pros that I've said, you have full control. You can switch between genres and different tropes, have different pen names. I think Amazon lets you have no more than three pen names. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Amazon lets you have no more than three pen names. But you have that, and it can be fun, and you learn a lot of skills with self-publishing. Like I said earlier, just reiterating what I said, you learn a lot of skills, not just writing skills. You learn editing skills, right? You learn design skills. Like design is not your thing, you may want to outsource that, right? I did that. I did that. I outsource my book covers now, to people who just they know what they're doing, right? um but yeah, you learn a lot of skills, you pick up a lot of skills, and you pick up just even the confidence with marketing your books, and just being on social media and whatnot. So that gives you a lot of confidence too in your work and in your books, right? So that's that's why I think you should self-publish. You have control. You make a lot of the business decisions, right? So that's something you want to be good at, making the decisions, because with self-publishing everything falls on you, which can be a lot of pressure, right? But that's also the fun part, right? You are in control of your business. It's your business, right? So that's the good thing about self-publishing. And I don't know if I already talked about this, but this is actually my first book that I published. This came out. I first published it in 2023 with an old cover, but then when I started to I learned more about self-publishing. This was still the people on the cover, but when I started to learn more about self-publishing and marketing, I had to outsource the cover, and had somebody else make it. So I had a Fiverr gig make this book cover, and I saw a significant um increase in my book downloads and whatnot, so that helps. So if you want to go check out this book, the link is going to be in the description box below. Feel free to go check it out. It's a forbidden romance, interracial enemies to lovers. It's not so spicy. It has some spicy moments, but it's not overall, it's not a steamy book. But it's one of my favorites. I really had fun writing this book, and it's it's the first book in a two book series. It's a standalone, so you don't have to read this book to read the other one that's going to be coming out later this year, and you don't have to read that one to read this book. So you can read this book. It's a standalone book, forbidden romance, and yeah, it's a professor-student romance. This is one of my favorite. I had fun writing this one. Um, but yeah, all of the links on the description box below, guys. Feel free to check them out and let me know what you think. I'm gonna stay on here for a few more minutes. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to end this live. Um, this is interesting. I might end up deleting this live and doing this again, because with I was trying this Restream app again, but I feel like it just doesn't let a lot of people see my live. I don't know. Maybe next time I'm not gonna do this. I'm probably just gonna go straight to YouTube and go live and not go through the streaming platform. Um, but hey, it doesn't hurt to try stuff. But yeah, you guys feel free to ask me any questions. I'm checking my YouTube right now to see if I have any excuse me, see if I have any questions. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'd love to answer your questions live. And if I'm not able to answer your questions now, I'll definitely make a video about your questions and answer your questions then. But I enjoyed sharing with you guys, and hopefully, you were able to take some notes and you were able to learn something from this 30 minutes ish time that I've been here. So hopefully, I was able to help somebody with their decision making process, and hopefully, at this point, you have an idea of where you want to go or which route you want to go, whether you want to go with self publishing or you want to go with traditional publishing. So hopefully, that this clears it up for you and you kind of know where you want to go. So, but if you have any questions, guys, later on, let me know. I'm about to log off here, but I appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining me. Again, all of the links to my books are in the description box below. Feel free to check them out. I'd love to know what you think. And if you have any questions or, comments, suggestions, leave them down below in the comment section. And I can't wait to interact with you guys. I'll see you guys later. But until then, keep writing, guys, and keep believing. Bye, guys.